Thank you KEH for sponsoring this video.
Hey photographer, Jessica Whitaker here. In this video, I'm going to be doing a simple comparison of a 50mm focal length against an 85mm focal length for portrait photography scenarios. I run a free photography Facebook group called Build and Bloom. It's kind, encouraging, and inclusive. And a common question I see is exactly this: should I get the 85 or the 50 for portrait photography? So I will bring you behind the scenes. I'm going to do side-by-side shots using both lenses. It's important to remember that this is just one scenario using the lenses. Now, these lenses are used, and the 85mm is actually from KEH, which is one of my longtime partners. It's where you can buy, sell, trade in, and repair used camera equipment. So I will have both lenses from KEH linked down below, as well as a discount code. My hope is by the end of this video, you will be able to solidify your decision if you should get the 50 or the 85. Chances are you've already done quite a bit of research and you're on the fence, and this video might be exactly what you need to make your final decision. Now, I really encourage you to shop used for your camera equipment. KEH Camera is a trusted reseller of gently used gear. Everything is transparently ranked on a quality scale, from excellent plus all the way down to bargain, and any tier in between. You are getting perfect glass. Now, bargain might mean there are some cosmetic scratches on the outside of the lens, but that just means that you get to save even more money, like hundreds of dollars. I'll be shooting on a Canon 5D Mark IV, which KEH sells, but you can also get a newer mirrorless body, whatever brand you shoot on. And in this video, we're not going to be focusing so much on the fact that these are Canon lenses. I want you just to focus on the focal length. Now, of course, there's going to be variation depending on the lenses that you buy, but when it comes to a 50mm or an 85mm, when we're just talking about the focal length itself, this video should give you a pretty good idea. And whatever brand you are looking for, chances are KEH sells it. And because everything is thoroughly quality inspected, you know exactly what you're putting your money into, unlike if you were to buy on a third-party auction site or a social media marketplace. Again, KEH will be linked down in the description box below, as well as both lenses if you want more technical specs, and I will have other review videos and lens comparisons all down below. Let's hop into the behind-the-scenes comparison. Our first spot is going to be focusing on how the two lenses perform when it comes to getting a wide shot where you really want to highlight the background of the image. So in this video, I'm going to be doing two different ways of holding the camera. So the first one will be the camera on a tripod, and I'll swap the lenses out, and the camera will not change in proximity to the model. And then I will take the camera off the tripod, step back, and get a shot where Devin is in the same spot. She does not move, but I move back. So remember, the only thing we want to focus on in this video is the focal length. Don't get so caught up in this is Canon and I shoot Nikon. I'm really just trying to help you make a decision in which lens focal length you should purchase. That's beautiful, Devin. Gorgeous. So as you can see, the tripod is going to stay in this spot, and then Devin's going to stay in that spot. I'm going to switch now to the 85. Throw on the 85, tripod's still in the same space. It does pain me because the framing, I want to step back just a little bit to adjust it, but there is a significant difference with how the background looks with this lens. And I really want to know in the comments which one you guys prefer. Do you like the 50 in relation to these shots specifically? Or do you prefer the 85? The 85, it doesn't highlight the background, but in a way, it creates a really dreamy atmosphere with these lights where the focus then is on the model. But with the 50, in this setting, she's in the frame, but I feel like your eye is going, it's a wider shot, so your eye is going to all these beautiful buildings, it's going to the lampposts. It's just a whole other effect. Okay, and then there's a white van. We're gonna wait for that to pass. Beautiful. So one thing with this lens is that if there are big obstructions in the background, such as a fire truck or a white van, you are going to notice that so much more. Those were on 1.2, so now I'm gonna bring it back to 2.2. So Devin's gonna stay in this spot, but I am going to move back. So there is a building in the very, very background, and that's gonna be kind of my guide for these shots. I wanna make sure that I get that in it, just so I know I'm kind of in the same spot. Beautiful, gorgeous, Devin. Switched over to the 50 millimeter, and with these shots, I'm going to be significantly closer to my subject. So with the 85, I had to step much further away where like Devin could barely hear me. And that actually could be a positive thing, and you could think of it strategically when you're on a photo shoot. So what I mean by positive thing is you can work it to your advantage. So let's say you're doing a couple photo shoot, and this couple hasn't ever gotten their photos professionally done yet. They're a bit uncomfortable, they're still warming them up for the first 20-30 minutes of the session. So throw on an 85 and get some further away shots, so then they have a moment to warm up. They're with each other, they're able to kind of remember that, okay, we're here to celebrate our engagement or whatever it might be, our anniversary. They're able to just be in their own little world, and the camera isn't right there. So that's one way that you can strategically use these lenses when it comes to working with couples. So with the 50, you're gonna see that now I'm gonna be much closer to Devin because I'm wanting to match her up as best as possible in the frame so you can get a true side-by-side comparison. Okay, so for these first couple shots, there's a building in the background that I'm gonna try to match up at the top of my frame. Just that's what we're gonna start with, and then I'll move in a bit closer, and then we'll also do some again to the side so you can see that as well. So I have it a little bit lower to the ground. I'm holding it parallel. With the 50, it's gonna distort the body ever so slightly. Now, I do have a video where I compare the 35, the 50, and the 85, and the 35 is what's gonna distort the most, so you have to be careful when you're shooting. The 85 is what you truly like see in real life. It's the best kind of comparison I can give. So when I'm looking at Devin, this is what the 85 lens is kind of seeing with the body. It's not distorting at all. The 50 does ever so slightly. Not enough where this isn't gonna be able to be used for a portrait lens, but you do have to make slight adjustments that you might not with the 85. I'm gonna show you now how I would use personally the 50 and the 85-4 in a photo shoot. So we're gonna start out with some full body shots that are highlighting the store in the background, and then we'll swap to the 85, and that's what I would use for closer up images. So I want to highlight the background in this image in the way where my eye is going to go all over the frame. I want the viewer to be able to look at the architecture, look at the gorgeous lights inside the shop. This is a glass shop here in Pioneer Square, and then also at the model too. So I chose a 50. Now, there are a lot of times where I do love to use the 85 for full body shots, but in this case, I just think the 50 is more appropriate. Now, here's the thing that's so fun about photography. If you want to use an 85 for an entire photo shoot, go for it. I've done that before. I've also used the 50 for a whole shoot. As long as you know how to work the lens and how to use it, there's nothing wrong with that when you're first starting out. As your collection expands, then of course you're going to be able to use different lenses for different shots. I could totally use this 50 for the entire shoot and have great shots. I just wanted to make this video so that you guys could see when you're shopping around, you're like, okay, I'm gonna upgrade my lens. You know, maybe you've been shooting with a kit lens for a while and you're really ready to make the leap, or maybe you've had a 35 and you're like, I want a traditional portrait lens. This video is to help you be able to make that decision, but you could really go with either. It's gonna be personal preference at the end of the day and what you're also gonna be using the lens for. I have switched to the 85. Some of you guys might see these and be like, okay, the 85 looks much better. I like how the background's more compressed, it's more creamy, and you might prefer, that might just be what you need to see to make that purchasing decision. You definitely can have both in your kit, as you know, I have displayed, but if you are wanting to do, let's say, a lot of like senior portraits, graduation photos, I'm curious to know, which focal length do you prefer in this particular situation? Do you like the 50mm or do you think the 85mm is best? Definitely let me know in a comment down below. If you want my opinion, it is hard for me to say a blanket statement for everybody. I would encourage you, if you really want to get specific and share about what you mostly photograph and what your budget is, leave a question in my Build and Bloom photography Facebook group, but I will try my best to answer in a very general way. But again, it's hard to do a blanket statement. So I would say that if you are just starting out from zero, you have a kit lens or maybe don't have a lens at all, I would go with a 50mm. It's versatile in the sense that you can get some beautiful portraits, but you can also get a ton of the backdrop in your images. If you're going to be shooting in tight spaces, that is something also to consider. The 50mm is going to let you not have to scoot as far back. So if you're in a coffee shop, for instance, you're in a very limited space. The 50mm, you're going to have so much more flexibility to get the shot. Using an 85mm in a coffee shop might be impossible in some situations, and it's just not as versatile of a lens when it comes to actually going out and about shooting. You need to have a bit more space depending on the shot that you want. Now, if you already own something like a 35mm, a lot of people in the Build to Bloom Facebook group, they have a 35, they might have a zoom lens, and they're looking to add one of these prime lenses to their collection. If you do a lot of portrait photography, so for graduation photos, family photos, you're shooting outside for most of these sessions, I would say an 85 would probably serve you the best. It's a beautiful focal length. However, it is going to be personal preference. A 50mm is also going to be fantastic. So that's one perspective that I have, and whichever one you go for, there are so many different options depending on budget. And if you go to KEH, you are able to save hundreds of dollars on gently used equipment. I'm telling you, you do not have to buy new. You can buy used, but you need to go through a reputable source such as KEH. Be sure to subscribe so you're the first to know when new free videos for your photography business come out, and I will see you over in my next video. Click right here to watch and to learn. I believe in you and I believe in your business, and I'll see you in that next video. Bye.